Friday, and we are back. And I guess
Yes,
that's
we are.
good because you can hear me. So your
Yes.
reaction tells me that I didn't mess something up. It's been 4 weeks since we've been here. I think that's the longest time we have gone without doing a live stream since
Exactly.
we started. Is that okay?
That's okay. Everybody needs vacation.
Well, between work and vacation. Yes. That's,
Exactly. Vacation.
So our schedules got way out of whack. So it was like there was 1 week to where I couldn't do it, and there were 2 weeks you couldn't do it, and there was a 4th week that we could have done it, but we chose not to. Because, right? And it's but I'm seeing lots of people going on vacation today. Like, I think the European vacations are starting in earnest today. Does that sound about right?
I guess depends on the country. It's either July or August or something in between.
Yeah. There's some people are taking 1 week, 2 weeks, and I saw one guy taking 4 weeks. So, all right. Ingen, good to see you. Karen and Samo. Thanks for being here with us live today. We're going to see how this plays out. By the way, my name is Darren. If you've never been here before, this over here is Victor, and we are the host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox that did not miss a week. By the way, it's been coming out every Wednesday at 6 a.m. Eastern.
Because
And
it's recorded, not live.
it's exactly recorded and edited and scheduled. So for me to actually release it on release day is about 20 minutes worth of work.
Exactly.
Not too bad. I could do that. Plus, I was having to work every other day releasing the day job stuff too. So it's just click, 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 and go. Let's just get into it because today has been a very forced to be gone for a month. There really hasn't been a whole lot going on. But summer.
I guess vendors are on vacations as well.
Exactly. Speaking of vendors going on vacation, Moogsoft, which we had Richard Whitehead on episode 180, which has been quite a while now. What is AI Ops? Moogsoft was acquired by Dell, or is in process of being acquired by Dell. So Richard, if you're watching or listening, next time we see you, Taco Bell is on you.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have, well, do you want, maybe Chipotle. Maybe we'll step up one from Taco Bell to Chipotle.
Yeah, they can afford it.
Okay, got it. So congrats to everybody at Moogsoft. Another good little acquisition. Are we going to start seeing more consolidation in the AI space? They are AI ops, but are we going to?
We are just starting. No consolidation when it's just starting. Yeah, no. Not yet. We will see a lot of acquiring because a lot of companies are now were taken with their pants down, right? So, there's this AI thing, and it happens that some companies were working on it for many years now. What do we do? That's the phase we are in right now.
Exactly. One other thing before we actually get into everything else, I noticed this the other day. The Crossplane Community Day.
Yeah. It's
Now,
happening.
September 19th at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, and 1500 UTC. There's somebody by the name of Victor that's going to be hosting it.
Don't listen to that guy.
Okay. But here's the deal. You want to be a speaker? Any experience level? It's got to be about Crossplane, right? The Crossplane has to be in the mix somehow, some way, not just mention. It's not like you just say mention AI and then continue talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer, right? You just can't say that. Walkthrough and learnings, how-tos. Here's the key point. Submit your talks by August 2nd. So you've got basically 10, 12 days, ballpark.
Something like that, yeah. Not much.
Yep. And you'll be notified. I can't believe you're promising this. Haven't you learned you never promise dates of anything?
Yeah, but if the conference is starting slightly over a month after that date, 2 weeks sounds actually
Yeah.
quite good.
So anyway, links to everything will be down in the description later tonight. My time anyway, so it could be your morning where you're listening. But anyway, Crossplane Community Day. Is this the first one?
The first one.
Interesting.
There was, I believe, in KubeCon sometime, maybe 4 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
A zero event, something like that. I did not attend it. Oh, actually, I did, but online.
Right. Crossplane at the 5-year mark. It doesn't seem like it's that old. Maybe it's because we've been offline for 3 years.
Most of the projects, for most of the projects, it takes a couple of years until actually it's ready to be shown to anybody. So think of those 5 years, probably like 2 years were in stealth. Not in stealth as if somebody was hiding it, but hey, not there yet.
Okay. Normally we go through all the podcasts that we've talked about. I'll click through them real quick just in case you've missed some. We had Signadot on. We had Liz Rice on talking about EBPF. Again, if you're not learning EBPF and your infrastructure, you need to be learning it. That's my opinion.
No, you should be using it. And if you're using it, you don't have to learn much, to be honest.
Right. Because once it's there, it's there. That's sort of the magical thing of it. BlazeMeter, which is now Perforce because Perforce bought BlazeMeter. What is NoSQL? That was with Matt from Couchbase.
I think so, yeah.
Couchbase, yes. Sorry. Had to think for a second. But then this week was another one of our second episodes of video. This was our still testing, experimenting with video. I haven't looked at the numbers yet, because it's too early. It's only 3 days in. I'm still not convinced that it makes any difference on YouTube. Why do you want us to do video? Once you answer that question, and then we can talk about what we actually talked about.
So you're surprised that releasing 2 videos on YouTube doesn't make a difference?
I don't think it's made a difference. Not compared to what we've been doing. Why do you want to do? I mean, I know why we're doing video.
200, and then you can extrapolate.
Well, exactly. We've got to do more than 2. 2's not a good enough sample set, but I'm not also seeing the numbers I would expect. But we'll see. But top challenges of implementing DevOps. This was actually a response to... wait, was this... No, sorry, that was the previous one. I don't even remember what this one was anymore then. I didn't get to listen to it this morning. Anyway. What are the top challenges? We answered it. Whatever it was, we answered it. Or maybe we attempted to answer? I don't remember anymore.
Whatever it was, we don't remember how we answered it. Yes. That's the truth.
Now that we're both back on good internet, that was one of my things, is I was in a place where internet, let's just say my phone had near zero cell service. We did have internet in the place we were staying, but I think dial-up was better than the internet that we had.
Oh man, I promised when I travel for vacation from now on, I'm not dialing in to anything.
No, just done.
Not happening.
Yeah. So anyway, we're back, and now we're starting to schedule and record again for the next a lot. We've got a lot coming up, and a lot of very interesting guests. So more on that as they come out. Okay. 2 announcements from AWS this week. We had Weaveworks and AWS joining together to maintain eksctl. Why is it taking this long?
I mean, I'm not even sure what that announcement means, because eksctl is AWS treats it as official project, the official way to create and manage EKS clusters, and it's been developed by Weaveworks. So I'm not sure what the announcement means. Just recognizing the situation that exists for a while now. Probably.
Well, it's moved out from Weaveworks to a new top-level org, eksctl.io, and jointly maintained by Weaveworks and AWS. I think prior to that, Weaveworks was the official maintainer.
I think so. If not official, the majority, yes.
Right. So, because you would go out to the AWS documentation for EKS, and what did it default to? eksctl. Everywhere. Like, you had tabs.
Default, it's the default among probably 17 ways to create EKS cluster.
Yeah, Corey Quinn has had a few other conversations I meant to pull in one of them and I forgot to do it. I don't remember which one it was, but yes, there's another way to do it. But anyway, they also talk about Karpenter. Well, here's another announcement about Karpenter. Now supports Windows containers.
Okay. One more thing that I will never try.
Because you have to.
I don't use Windows.
So help me
servers.
why? Okay, well I don't either. But why do you even need? This gets into one of the videos you talked about a little bit later on, and maybe let's save that conversation. But remember that we talked about this when we get to that. It will make sense. Just remember Windows containers. Let's just remember that. We'll talk more about that as we go.
I'll do my best, but no guarantees.
Well,
I will remember.
Same with me. It's been 4 weeks, right? We're learning how to do all of this all over again. KubeVirt 1.0.
Nice. Very cool.
And again, we'll revisit this a little bit later. If you don't know what KubeVirt is, can VMs run in containers and be deployed in Kubernetes? A VM in a container in Kubernetes.
Okay, yeah. I'm not sure whether it yeah, exactly. Why not?
Again, we'll revisit this a little bit later. I'm going to go back here. I would like to know how many people run Kubernetes on Windows. I don't think it's Kubernetes on Windows as much as it is Windows in Kubernetes.
Yeah, but it needs to run on Windows nodes.
Oh, that's true. It does have to run on Windows nodes in order to run on.
Yeah. So
Right.
it is.
I was thinking
Kubernetes.
.NET Core.
It's Windows in Kubernetes on Windows. That's the definition of it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's save that because I do want to try to not bang my head on the wall too much on that one. But anyway, KubeVirt finally 1.0. So, and this was the other thing too that was interesting that I hadn't known. It went in September of 2019 as a sandbox and went incubating almost 3 years later, in April of last year. So the chances of KubeVirt graduating are
Probably
2029.
big, yeah. Yeah, it will be sooner.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, KubeVirt. That was pretty cool. That's all the news I got. You want to see some tools though?
Let's see some tools.
I have been gathering tools together
For 4 weeks.
for primarily 4 weeks. Yes. There was a time where this thing called Reddit was having some issues that we've talked about, and so I've gotten my workaround almost every. Most all the subreddits have come back.
Yeah.
There's only like one or two that I follow that still didn't come back, but I don't think they were doing anything anyway. First one is from Charm called Pop.
Okay. Send emails from your terminal.
Terminal. Yep. So you can.
Okay.
So it gives you the nice typical Charm way of doing things in a TUI, right? Don't let this bother you because I see you scratching your head. So you can use the TUI, but you can also use the CLI part of this. This is where it gets interesting to me. Because then I can use this to automate things.
Exactly. You can kind of do your own tiny mailing list.
Correct. Which leads into this next one. To use POP, you need a resend API key. So they're using resend as the SMTP provider.
Nice.
I haven't looked into that. So there's already a brew package for it, so you can just brew install it, and off you go. And then it goes into, you can create email bodies with AI. And then you can also use GUM to do things.
That's what I was thinking, kind of, hey, actually, maybe, inside of a GAM. I'm noture what would be the use case yet, but
Yeah.
there must be one at least.
Yep. And there's also another tool that I didn't know they had called Invoice. So you can generate invoices completely from command line and then attach that to the... Charm just keeps on cranking out more and more stuff. And of course it's MIT licensed, right? It's just another little utility, much like sed or awk, that you can just pass stuff in, you can pipe stuff together. You never have to leave the command line.
Yeah. No, they're doing amazing work, really. Half of what they do, I'm scratching my head, kind of, is this ever going to be? Am I ever going to have a use case for that? But then when I do, Charm ends up being the first stop for me.
So that's good. I want to go back to Kieran had there are many third-party Windows apps that come as container images. I'm just not in that world anymore. I used to live in Windows.
I mean, I'm sure that there is. I mean, I'm 100% sure that there are many.
Yeah.
It's just that when was the? I don't remember last time there was a third-party app that I needed, and it did not come as Linux to begin with. And
I can't. Other than a couple of desktop applications, I have 2 desktop applications that run on Windows, Quicken and QuickBooks. That's it.
But would you run that in a server?
No, it's a desktop app. So those are desktop apps.
Exactly.
So I don't.
So I'm thinking more like, hey,
SQL
what
Server.
would be the application that
SQL
should
Server.
run SQL Server? Yeah, MS SQL, you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And that classification of things. That's what I'm thinking would be. But anyway.
Now, what I'm going to say comes from pure ignorance, but I would be surprised that there is no MS SQL now in Linux. Is there not?
I think there is. I don't know. Let's see. I'll look it up in a few minutes. Trends probably not present in companies that are closer to the cutting edge. Yeah, but I work with companies that aren't on the cutting edge. And I still see legacy all the time. That's why I don't see Kubernetes most of the time.
I remember back in the day when I was doing professional services, I was working with quite a few companies that are primarily Windows. Now, even back in the day, they all had plans to move to Linux, right? How far they went, I'm usually skeptical about how far typical enterprise goes on the promise, right? But the real question to me is not. One question is whether there is an application that you're currently running in Windows, right? That's not the legit question to me. To me, the question is there an application that you currently run in Windows and you want to move to a container and that something does not exist as a Linux variation, right? Because I wouldn't be surprised that many companies that are running currently think legacy Windows and moving to container that are maybe not really exploring the option of running that same application as a Linux application.
Yep. As I popped up here before, there is MS SQL for Linux. Thought there was. Yeah. Okay, anyway, Charm Pop. We'll visit Windows again here in a few minutes. Trust me, Windows containers. So Charm Pop, just keep on looking at Charm for utilities you didn't realize you needed. Is that the right way to say it?
Exactly.
Sometimes.
Again, to me that happens a lot with Charm. I have no idea. I cannot imagine usefulness of that something, and then comes the day, hey, I would like to do this and that from a command line, and then it just clicks.
Yep. Like VHS, which they haven't had a recent. They haven't had a recent release yesterday. I guess it hasn't made it all the way through yet. I wonder what was in the release notes. Okay, because this is the one tool that, from my perspective, I really do like. Okay, so font fallback, new modifiers, cursor blink. Oh, that's cool. Now you can do a cursor blink. Or
nice.
Default it, or turn it off. I guess by default it's always been flashing. Okay, anyway, all the Charm stuff. Xeol. And yes, I know it's pronounced Xeol because if we scroll to the bottom, there's a section that says Xeol.
Okay.
It's only because I put an issue in, asking for them to put in a pronunciation. What is this? So it's based on Gripe. We've talked about Gripe before. That's from Anchor along with Sift. So thinking security. Basic, and it goes into, at the bottom of this page, they talk about how they built it. Basically, it's Gripe, but for end of life. So what this tool does is you can give it an image or an SBOM or a lot of different things, just like how Gripe works. And then it looks it up against the site endoflife.date. You've ever been to that site before?
No.
Okay, let's go there. So it will tell you this. This has all the different things. In fact, let's just pick. I'll be nice to some people today, so I won't go there. I'm trying to find Jenkins because I know it's here. Okay, Jenkins. So we know that the latest is 2.15. It's currently in, and 2.4 is the current as well. But then this one went end of life May 3rd, 2023. So if you were to scan this image, it would tell you that it was end of life 6 months ago.
Wait, is that end of life or released?
Well, okay. This was when it was released, but today, this is when it went end of life, which was 6 months later.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, I said it a little backwards, but yes. So by being able to include this in whatever CI you're using, fill in the blank, Jenkins is the best. I had to say it. Use it all. It doesn't matter. Just use something, please.
Wait, that cannot be.
What?
So I'm looking at 2.401.
Yes.
It was released in April, and
Yes.
that cannot be end of life 3 months later.
It's
2
not
months
yet.
later.
Because this is still yes. It's still in support.
Ah, okay.
If it's red, that's when it was out of support.
Yeah.
So anyway, they have all these different things. So they're able to take the data for that, and then it will give you an output, which I don't have an example here. But they look ahead 30 days. From whatever today is, they look ahead 30 days, and if it's going to expire in those 30 days, it's going to tell you, which is nice. But you can also set the date way ahead to figure out when something will die. Like I did that with what we just saw with Jenkins, 2.401.2. I went ahead 5 years and saw that Debian 11 goes out in a few years and Java 11 goes out closer than that. So it's useful.
Yes, I mean it is without a doubt useful. I just don't like the idea that hey, actually we are going to plan our upgrades based on end of life.
I agree with that. I do not, in fact, yeah, you shouldn't be planning upgrades on that. But to know that let's flip it around. We were talking about companies that run legacy things. They may not even know what they're running as legacy. They may still be building things with container images using operating systems that have been end of life, like an Alpine that was from 4 years ago.
True.
Which again, we'll follow that up again later on. But anyway, Xeol.
Okay.
And they're actually, the two guys working on this actually have also a service around this. So it's xeol.io. Anyway, I thought it was cool. It was a nice re-leveraging of something that was already Apache licensed. And it was like, oh, this does exactly what I want. I just need to give it a different data source and I can use different outputs. So, Xeol.
Nice.
Okay, there we go. RepoWatcher, a command line tool for managing multiple Git repositories. It gives you a way basically to group things together in a sane way. So the example here is you set up a YAML file and you set up the repositories and you tell it how to run. So then it basically, anytime you run the command, it'll use this.
Nice. Nice. Those are cool. Those are kind of... I feel that there is a bunch of tools like that, which I don't remember anymore.
I was trying to find the one that we've talked about before, and I couldn't find it. But
yeah.
Anyway, this is RepoWatcher, and it's new-ish. So
nice.
And unfortunately, RepoWatcher, you have to build it. They haven't started doing releases yet, so come on.
Okay, it's a single command. No, 2 commands.
They tell you here. Well, if you were to use Go Releaser, right, it does all the magic for you.
Yeah, one more argument over there to build in multiple architectures and another one to push it to Git, yeah.
Robin AI. I hesitated on bringing this in because it's AI. My dog's walking in and out. You won't see him. So this is a GitHub action that takes, let's see, do they explain here what it does? Okay, it doesn't, but it's easy enough to do. So it reviews a pull request, gives it a score of 0 to 100, suggested improvements, and sample code for improvement.
I was all skeptical until I saw the last part.
Okay. Do you want to see this GitHub action?
Yes. I want to see it.
Source. There's 4 scripts.
Okay.
The one that you care about is GPT-sh.
Okay.
Well, actually, here, we'll look at the main just so we know what we're doing. So you got to get some tokens for OpenAI and GitHub. Makes sense. And what it does is a git diff. Wait, where am I at? Yeah, it's doing a commit diff off the PR.
Exactly.
Effectively a git diff.
Exactly.
Are you ready for
it to ChatGPT?
Sends it to ChatGPT. I'm going to assign you a role. Your role is being a pull request code reviewer. I've been following this for a while. They keep rewriting this part, which is fine. But then they send it to ChatGPT.
Okay.
Well, they send it to OpenAI. Words matter. You can pass in, there's a default model, but you can change the model if you want. The initial prompt comes in, the git diff, and that's it. And then you get back an answer.
Yep.
This is the full GitHub action.
I mean, that's what vast majority of AI tools today are essentially a way to grab input from something or output from something, pass it to ChatGPT, and then send it back to you. That's what vast majority of them are.
I don't think that's going to be changing soon. Soon meaning the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Longer term,
I mean,
different conversation. But
there are big projects on AI happening right now, but this is kind of low-hanging fruit, right? How can somebody get a sticker in a day?
what's interesting
it's
though
cool.
is
So
yeah, it's cool.
It's still useful. So what I really don't so I'm not using ChatGPT at all.
I'm not even.
And the main reason why I'm not using it is not because it's useless. It's quite the opposite. It's extremely useful, but it's not where I am. Right? I'm somewhere else. I'm in Visual Studio Code. I'm in Terminal. I'm in a Kubernetes cluster, and here so on and so forth. Right? So if those tools, no matter how silly they are, actually I think that they're very useful. They can, if they can save me from switching to copying from somewhere, going to the browser, ChatGPT, blah, 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 and then getting the results. Yeah, it saves me from doing 3 steps. That's nice.
It's from Integral Healthcare. I was like, who? What? This is the only thing they have out there.
Here we go. You need to start with something.
Yep. The thing I liked about this
That's
that
the only
it's-
thing that they have in public, just to clarify.
in public. It's MIT licensed. And I'm noodling on some ideas for Hacktoberfest. Remember, that's coming up soon too. Can you believe there's only 100 days between now and November 1st?
Is it going to be AI plugin for Jenkins?
Could be. It'd been interesting, not so much that we need one. 'Cause I don't know if we do or not. Let me just leave it that way. But it would be an interesting thought experiment of, okay, if you were going to create a plugin for Jenkins and you needed to do these types of interactions with external services, right? What is the proper way to create a plugin?
So
That's what I'm noodling with right now.
So, for example, what I'm about to say to me could be very interesting for Jenkins, right? Jenkins jobs, when they fail, get the logs, ship it to ChatGPT, get it back, and enrich those logs with potential solutions.
Correct. That would be interesting. But then, how can you trust what's in your logs? Playing out the security angle.
Oh, that, my dear. For that, you will need to wait for next Monday. Exactly that.
Not that there's bad things, but there's things you may not want to leave.
And of course, you
That
cannot
disk.
you cannot just take logs and give it to somebody, including ChatGPT. That would be very, very, very foolish of you.
Correct. So
You
anyway,
want to feed the AI model with your passwords. That would be amazing.
you've never put passwords in logs, have you?
Of course not. This I haven't put them even once this week.
This week. There's still time. All right, moving on. Piper from Rookout. Rookout's the guys. Piper is multi-branch pipelines for Argo workflows. We're talking about Jenkins. Now, Argo workflows, through this extension, can now do multi-branch.
Nice.
Okay, haven't tried it. No video found. But anyway, under Apache license. So if you're using Argo workflows and you need, trust me, you don't know that you need multi-branch pipelines until you use them. Then you realized, yes, I need them.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's Piper. I'm getting close here, I think. Rift, we were talking about AI. Morph is a company doing AI stuff. Let's talk about the 3 points. Of course, it has to be 3 points. Future software will be mostly written by AI and augmented and supervised by humans. I'm not there yet.
But I agree.
Yeah,
It says will, future tense.
yeah, it's got very future. Keeping personal data safe and computation secure will become increasingly important. We were just leaning towards that, right? We don't just ship things somewhere. And the future of software belongs to everyone. That's been true since the 50s, I think. So that's nothing new.
Yeah.
Rift, an open source language server and IDE extension that lets everyone deploy a personal AI software engineer, locally hosted, private, secure, open source, and free. How open source? Apache 2.0 open source. Not AGPL. Not GPL. This is just over the line from MIT. If it's not MIT, I want it to be Apache 2. I'll put it that way. You use VS Code, they have a VS Code extension.
Yeah. There we go.
So now you can actually just run the engine right here. I smell a new video coming on. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Not for me, for you.
Exactly.
But anyway, this is called Rift from Morph. 2 more, I think. Ghat.
Okay.
Ghat. I don't know. I didn't ask these guys how to pronounce it.
Yeah. Okay.
Updating dependencies in GitHub Actions. Instead of using the semantics, it will figure out the hash for you. How do you feel about that?
I'm not sure I understand.
Okay. So instead of using mutable tags, because 401 can point at something else, a tag can be reused.
Theoretically, yes.
But the commit
Many
hash
practices
can...
as well, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, true.
Right? But a commit hash is a commit hash. It is immutable.
Okay, fair enough. But so is it rewriting your
It is.
files? YAML.
Yes.
Okay, I thought that it was doing that at runtime or something like that. Okay.
No. It's rewriting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like that. I like commit hashes. They're ugly as all get out. They don't communicate what real life is, but the way that they're doing it here is they comment it right afterwards what it is.
I was about to say that's the part that convinces me that this is okay. Otherwise, I hate commit hashes when they're not followed with the version.
Yeah. But versions are hard.
Somebody should come up with commit hashes that are prefixed with the version or suffixed. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Because it's all about being unique, right?
It is.
So I don't know, 401 and then FAC 708, whatever.
So I'll show you something in a second on that. Actually, I'll show it to you now. So that's actually what any Jenkins plugins that have moved over to the CD, like full on thing, we have this. There's a number, and then sort of a hash. It's not the hash, but it's in that. It's not perfect, but it's better than just a semantic version, in my opinion. Rift, sorry. There's this one that's called Ghat, Ghat
Something.
is the G silent and it's just hat? Or is the H silent and it's just Ghat? I don't know. Terminalizer. Sort of like ASCII Cinema, but different.
Okay.
So you can just sit there and generate animated GIF images all day long. And this is another one, like here's a bunch of examples. Like there's the redo of the Nyan Cat. This is old. It's like 5 years old, but I hadn't seen this one before.
Me neither. And I'm surprised because back in the days I was looking for all the variations of ASCII. What's the name you said?
ASCII Cinema.
ASCII Cinema, exactly.
Yeah.
Huh? Nice.
It's seems to be pretty straightforward, but I just need to play. It's pretty funny right here. I missed it before. Nyan Cat approved right here in the middle. You can't see my mouse, but yes, Nyan Cat approved. Okay, here's the last tool. Let me see how you react. Now, most people. So most of the time, you don't go this deep in the notes. You might take a quick look at the top, but you typically don't dig into things. Correct? Look, I'm trying to pull the cover back here just a little bit. You prepare a little bit, meaning you get on, you make sure you have the notes, and you move on.
Okay.
That's your level of preparation, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. Here we go. I wrote an Argo style CD or ArgoCD style GitOps layer for fly.io.
Okay, I don't know what that means.
You know what ArgoCD is?
I know what.
You know what Flux
ArgoCD
is?
Absolutely.
So that means you define the definition, and then ArgoCD or Flux reads is polling the definitions, finds it, and then
Correct.
makes it so. Right?
Exactly.
That's the purpose. But that hasn't existed for systems like Heroku or Fly or any of these other container as a service type solutions. This guy wrote one.
So in other words, this is a GitOps solution that runs not in Kubernetes, I'm guessing.
Not in Kubernetes.
Okay,
So
that makes sense.
He wrote the app. It's deployed as a Fly application. Okay, single point of failure,
okay.
right? That's fine, right? It's
okay.
what it is. But once you get over sort of that mental thing, you've got your 3 different apps here, just like you would do with ArgoCD, right? Every app gets its own repo. Yes or no?
Exactly. Yeah, sometimes yes, sometimes no, but yeah.
Right.
Let's say yes.
Right. Say yes. And then once he's doing a push instead of doing polling, it appears. Okay, we'll let that ride. And then,
if it's doing push, what's the difference between this and GitHub Actions or Jenkins?
It's nothing at this point. That's what I'm saying. That's got to be flipped around, in my opinion.
Exactly. Otherwise, why do it in the first place? Why not just Jenkins
and run the Fly
go for it?
CTL and go.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So here's and there's a CLI, but here's the config. So in your repo, so you've got a GitHub repo named mycloud in my.org, right? So here's CloudX, stage, and prod. So the way he's modeling it is stage and prod, not branches, directories. Does that feel okay to you?
That's cool. Yeah,
Okay.
To me that's perfectly fine, yeah.
Okay. And then the apps are within there. And then within the app, you have your configuration. All feels reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Now at this point, again, he's not polling, he's triggering. I would flip it.
Okay.
That's my only beef with it right now. But then this will take care of
Because
managing.
That makes it not like ArgoCD.
Correct. That's
That
the
makes
big
it like
twist.
pipeline like
Right.
Jenkins or whatever else you're using, yeah.
Right. There was the blog post that KK did years ago called Polling Must Die. And 99.9% of the time I agree with that. However, I've come to the dark side that polling is good for this scenario. Because I got a brain and it's looking for things it has to look, it can't trust that it actually heard. It's like having a little kid and you're the parent. If you're listening for the kid before you check on them, if you don't have kids, by the way, if kids get quiet, there's a problem. Right?
No, Exactly. I mean, polling
You-
is really silly if you ask me. I mean, polling has a lot of downsides. Performance, you're killing your server really by continuously checking and checking and checking and checking. It's very ineffective, right? The positive things of polling is security. You don't have to open the ports because you're pulling it, not pushing into it. And you can avoid some nasty conflicts because, hey, if this pushed and that pushed, and what do I do if this cannot do without that? Will I ever repeat and all that stuff?
Yeah. So you haven't looked at it, obviously, because this is the first time you've seen it. I was actually trying to explain to somebody the other day of how, because I'm trying to nudge them towards using fly or using something, fly vercel, just something for what they're doing.
Yeah.
But this didn't exist, unbeknownst to me, until like this week. So I sent this to the guy as like, okay, now I need to go try this out. Because what he wants to be able to do is he wants to be able to go in somewhere, define what version of an image or the app that he wants to go out in Git, and just let it take care of it from there. And, other than the hooks, which, I can give grace for that. This is that answer.
Literally, if you would replace FlyCD with, let's say, Jenkins,
Yeah.
nothing would change. The solution would be exactly the same.
The solution would be, well, except this is purpose-built to do this.
Yes, exactly.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, could I do it with Jenkins? Yes, I could. Because of this, because I'm listening for hooks. I don't want to listen for hooks. I want to poll for the data. And let me do the diff, and then I'll deal with reconciling it from that point forward. So anyway, this is called FlyCD. It is not production ready, but I think it's darn close.
Yeah.
And I haven't read that deep to figure out if there was his reasoning of hooks versus polling. Actually, let me go down here. Because he's got hooks for pruning, blah, blah, blah. This is another long readme, speaking of which. Support per region, it's okay. Let me say this a little bit differently. This is great that somebody is doing this. Fly should have this as part of their service.
Yes.
Right? That should be.
Yes. 100% yes.
Heroku should have this as part of their service.
It's been a while since I used Heroku, but Heroku worked actually with, you were pushing to Git directly, right?
Yeah, you could do that. But what I'm saying is that's not what I want here, because I want to be able to have my binary living somewhere else. I don't want to build and deploy to happen all at once. I want to build, and it's just sitting over there whenever, because I want that image, or whatever the asset is, that same image to go to whatever environment, stage, prod, whatever, or getting into the concept of maybe multi-tenant or white labeling something. I want that same image to go in multiple places. I don't want to build for each of those places.
Exactly.
Because nothing could ever go wrong doing that, could it? Anyway, I think it's cool. I'm glad somebody's doing it. I wish the vendor would do it themselves. But since this is MIT licensed, who knows? Okay, so we're getting close here. Let's see. What's up? Joining after a long time spent last weekend looking at TestCube. Have you done TestCube before?
Not as a video. I did work on a TestCube. I did actually speak with them, and it's been a while. I had reasons why I didn't think at that time that it's a good thing, and I forgot what those reasons are, and I don't know where it is right now. So I will put it on my to-do list to take another step with it.
Okay. Let's take a look back at, again, much like how we flew through the videos, I'm going to fly through your videos, or flew through the podcasts. You had to how to apply GitOps on GitHub with ArgoCD and Crossplane. Okay, seems pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Which it should be. IDP for infrastructure. Okay,
Yep.
that's fine.
Similar theme.
You had two things with Q, replacing Helm templates, but the second one was the one with Timoni.
Exactly. Timon is. I mean, Q. I did not want to jump into Q for a while, but then eventually I did, and now I love it. That's the summary of it.
We should do an episode on Q on the podcast.
Yeah.
Of why. Because I think we've got a couple that we need to do anyway. Just me and you. So
Exactly.
we'll do Q for one of those. Actually here.
I mean,
write
either
it down.
Q or we can maybe have an episode talk about all of them.
Okay. I'm writing that down too. I'm writing down all of them, and hopefully you remember what that means. What's another one of the all of them?
Helm, Customize, YTT,
okay.
CDKs, JSONNet.
All the old ones, if you will. Okay, got it. I wrote it down.
There we go.
Containers are not VMs. I'm coming back to Windows containers now. And I'm coming back to the Xeol.
Yeah.
You don't need a full stinking operating system for your base image for containers. True or false?
Absolutely, 100%. You just need the bare minimum required. That is. You need things that are not available in the operating system. Let's put it that way, right? The binary of your application that does not come with the operating system on the node, right? A few other things as well might be the cases, but yeah, the logic is very simple. Instead of starting with what you don't need and then trying to figure out how to remove it, which you will never manage to do, start with close to nothing and then add the things you need. Very simple. And that video actually speaks about container images, but actually I would argue that the same should apply for operating system on top of VMs or bare metal as well. Same thing.
Because security, because
Yeah.
backups, because you name it.
Performance, everything. Kind of simply, why would you use something that contains 98% of the things you don't need?
I'm glad you did this one. I have a feeling there's something else coming behind this, which is what you were saying. Is that the one coming Monday?
No. Coming
Oh, different
Monday
one.
is I don't know what's coming Monday. Wait, let me see. So what's coming Monday is that answer to the biggest complaint about using images like that. And the biggest complaint, two complaints. First, I need it because my application before being a container run on Ubuntu, hence I need all that stuff, which is silly. I'm not going to even comment on it. The second complaint is how do I debug? Let's say that we go to extreme and use a scratch image that doesn't even have SH. How do you enter into the container to debug it? That's next Monday's video. And the one I was referring to is actually the Monday after next, so I got mixed up.
Okay, that's fine. But now, Whitney's back.
Yeah, we started the next chapter. Yeah.
Did you
Fun.
start? Or is
Yes.
this the only one that's come out so far? This is the trailer.
Yeah, that's there were two. One kind of like me and her chatting for a couple of minutes announcing it.
Right.
But this is the first episode, yes.
Okay. So it
No,
is out.
No, wait, no, that's...
This is the trailer.
Yeah, there is, exactly, this is a trailer. There is another one we did this Tuesday.
Okay. I just didn't grab that one, I guess. Sorry. I'll add that
That's
into
okay.
the list.
It's perfectly fine. Oh, look at me. I look like I'm taking a shit. That's my face. If you're wondering how I look like in that situation, that's me.
That's it's good to be back. Let's just put it that way. It's good to be back. How long are y'all going to do that round this time for chapter 2? Do you
I
think?
think it's like chapter 2 is very short, like 4, maybe 5 episodes in total.
Okay.
Because we are more setting it's about production clusters, but production clusters is infinite subject. So it's kind of how to set up bare minimum, and then we will go, okay, now let's talk about security, and that will be a long one, and then observability, that will be a long one, and stuff like that.
Right. And hopefully those finish up right as you finish up holidays when you start traveling again, which I think probably right after you finish that. Isn't that when you're going to China? Are you going to China for
I did
KubeCon?
not get confirmation yet. It's actually very unlikely because I heard rumors that China will accept maybe only 1 or 2 outsiders.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be very limited to locals, I think.
So is it, I would imagine, primarily for language? I don't know.
No idea.
I don't know if
Maybe
it's
language,
primarily trying to do
maybe
change.
espionage, maybe COVID, I don't know what.
I'm not going to get into that part of it. I'm trying to think happy thoughts here. I was just thinking probably they were wanting things in Chinese. Sort of like when you go to France, a lot of times they expect I'm saying they, sorry people in France if you're listening right now, expect French to be the first language, which I don't blame you. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
You come to the US, you expect the first language to be English. Spain, I would imagine you expect Spanish.
Or Catalan.
Or Catalan was what I meant. Sorry.
I'm joking more than being serious.
So those are all fine and good. So
Yeah.
that also means you wouldn't have to fly halfway around the world. Actually, that's not that
I
far for
want
you, is
to
it?
go.
I know you
mean,
want to go.
Yeah, that's why I submitted. It's not that I'm so interested in KubeCon China. I just want to go to, where is it? Singapore? No. Shanghai.
What's in Shanghai? Okay.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
exactly. And then kind of do a tour, maybe visit Tokyo or, jump to Beijing, something like that. So
Right.
Make it like a 10-day trip or something like that.
Oh, yeah. That would be interesting. And also would probably mean that I would have to reschedule a bunch of podcast recordings we already have scheduled.
We'll see.
Okay. Anyway, I actually do want to bring this back up. For people that showed up late today, I want to go back to, I'm going to give you some more press time here. The Crossplane Community Day. Coming up September 19th, but if you want to talk about it, talks are due August 2nd.
Yes, come and talk. That would be cool.
And it's online only, by the way. It is online only, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. No, online only.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that everybody got a chance to talk about that. Is there anything else? We're close to the top of the hour anyway.
Not that I know.
We should be back for the next few weeks because
I'm at least not, I don't know about you, I'm not traveling anywhere or doing anything that would prevent me from streaming or any other activity.
I'm the same way. I don't think I might be going back out in September for a couple days, but so are you. Because that's September, everything starts up again.
Yeah, mid-September, chaos starts.
Yeah. Until end of year, right? Or till December. Is that
Until end of year, mostly because I have commitments that I committed to half a year ago and stuff like that. But I'm going to reduce now the number of travels.
Really?
Yeah.
This is breaking news. I wish I had a breaking news thing right now to come up.
No, but reduce as in, I'm not going to kind of, to every single meetup somebody invites me to come. Hey, do you want to come to, I don't know, here or there? Kind of, 5 of us. So I'm going to reduce.
Good. It's important for your family. There, I set it out online as it's being
I
streamed.
don't know. I have a feeling that they're happier when I'm not here than when I'm here. So I'm not sure whether that's
They may
going
say
to be
that,
good
but
for them.
it's not true. They may say it, but it's not true. Okay, so we'll be back next week, assuming everything. I heard a guy say it this week, or this way sometimes, like, Lord willing and the creek don't rise. That's what he said. Like, okay, we'll see how it plays out. We should be back next week. Hopefully there's some news between now and next week, because I had a month and it was still not a super long show. Windows containers. Why the heck
I would
do
be
you use them?
skeptical that anything groundbreaking will be happening before September.
I don't think so either. Just because now is really because what's happening here, at least in the States, there's for a number of states, Texas in particular is one of them, they go back to school in 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mid-August?
Yeah.
I thought that everybody
Second
goes
week
like
of
September.
August. There's a lot of places that starts, in fact, around me, most of them are end of August. But there are some schools up in the mountains where they get ice and stuff throughout in the winter, so it's impassable.
Okay, that makes sense. But for Texas, what's the goal? Kind of like not to miss the heat wave? Kind of like we're going to miss it?
No, because you're actually in August, you're catching the heat wave. Part of it is so at the end of the year, you're not going right into a heat wave.
Okay.
because they're usually Texas is out the first week of May.
Ah, I did not know that. Okay.
First to second week of May, and a lot of places are like that. So anyway, why are we talking about dates? Because some people are taking vacations and others aren't. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping to. Oh, check this out. Yes, let's go through the last couple. Small AC in the room. How hot is it today? Do you have a thermometer in there?
I don't know. Let me see. Weather. I'm guessing like 35, above 35. Probably. It's extremely hot. I mean, compared to what. I mean, now it's 27. That's
okay.
Hot. But I'm guessing that it was 35 Celsius. Whatever that is in Fahrenheit. Yeah.
Rosh can be
Big thumbs
great. IDP. What are you using? Are you using Backstage? Tell us. We can hang out here for a few more minutes.
Today I spent the whole day because I thought, okay, I need to give it another try. I need
Backstage?
to try Backstage again, like for the 10th time.
Still not.
To go through the whole this documentation, read it all, and say, okay, I missed it. I must be missing something. And no.
Still not there.
It went back to the bottom of the to-do list.
Well, that's okay. Oh, interesting. He's using port.
Very good. Very cool.
Okay. Let's call it a day, because I need to go write some scripts for next week. Because Jenkins keeps on releasing every 4 weeks, like clockwork, which is a great thing. It's funny though, isn't it? It's not. Which would you rather have? Well, this is going to cause a firestorm, maybe. Would you rather have continuous delivery, or would you rather have LTS releases? Just thinking, just in general. I'm talking about just in general for third parties.
LTS. No, it depends. LTS like frequent
Like what?
LTS.
Yeah, frequent is the key part there.
So
like,
we're not talking about like
once a year.
LTS Ubuntu every 4 years or whatever.
No. I'm talking
okay, no.
maybe like, okay, so Jenkins is basically once every month, once every 4 weeks. I'm okay even up to once a quarter. You could argue Jenkins is an LTS every quarter because it stays that way for 13 weeks. Right? It's just the last digit that changes every month.
So I think that we as vendors should be releasing both, right? Kind of there are fix. Okay, you just made a fix to something, release it. Kind of like release as soon as possible, right?
Correct.
But then we need to have stable releases like LTSs, whatever, right? We call it, and vast majority of people should be using those. So when I say release frequently, I think that that's less for end users and more for organization, right? Kind of get into that, develop that muscle, right? To do it as soon as done. But then, when do you create a release for the public? That's a different question, right?
Different conversation. This is funny what Raj is saying here. I think you need a whole dev team to use Backstage. I don't disagree with that.
Yes.
As long as the API doesn't break structure properly. Yep. I think we're talking Kubernetes versions now. Yeah. But Kubernetes is so slow now in breaking things, which is good.
Yeah, it's not breaking much, no.
Comparatively.
I mean, I haven't heard a big deal. Kind of like the last one could have been Ingress. Maybe something big happened in between, but that's about it.
When does Gateway go? What is Gateway API's status? Do you remember?
So, but that's a bit misleading, right? Because one thing is the status of Gateway API, and the other thing is the status of the implementations of Gateway API, right? They will be lagging behind.
Right.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Exactly.
A concrete implementation takes time based off of...
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's more a question, when is GA the spec? Because Gateway API is a spec. That's what it is. When it goes GA, I expect it not to be long from now. It will be part of Kubernetes now. When you should start using implementations, that's a different question, right?
Right. I was just trying to find the... right thing. Implementation reference. Okay. Boy, it's a lot here. I'm going to flip this one. This will be the last thing we do today. These are all the implementation based off of this. So public preview, alpha, betas, GKE is GA'd. I'm assuming if it doesn't have something, I'm going to assume that it's GA. I don't know. Integrations.
Yeah, I would assume that actually they did not provide
Status.
information. Right. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. But see, I could see Nginx Kubernetes Gateway being GA. But if it wasn't provided, maybe not.
Well, I mean, you know, Nginx is definitely stable now. Gateway implementation, that, you know.
Right.
Google started working on it a long time ago, and for Google it's slightly easier because they control the environment, right? It's in GKE.
Oh.
And it comes with, it is actually already, I think that CRDs are already there. You just need to enable it, and that's it.
So Gateway API spec is at 0.7.1 right now.
There we go.
So who knows? Okay. Let's call it a day. I think we're done.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to stave off writing more scripts today. I've been staring at, when you stare at Google Docs more than you stare at VS Code, you're doing it wrong. And that's how I've been doing it today.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here with us live today. Before you leave, give us a thumbs up, do the YouTube things. And Monday, Victor's back with a video about more container images of what not to do.
Exactly.
Wednesday is the podcast. Are y'all doing? Are you and Whitney doing Tuesday?
Just Tuesdays, yes. So it will be
So you're
every
back on
Tuesday
Tuesday.
until we finish this chapter, and then we'll decide when we continue.
When
with
3
the
goes.
one.
Okay. So to recap, DevOps Toolkit Monday for Victor's video. DevOps Toolkit Tuesday for Victor and Whitney. Wednesday's the podcast. Thursday's nothing.
We need to figure out what to do on Thursdays.
Does the
Do the
AMA come
report?
back? Does the AMA come
Huh?
back? Do we bring back the AMA?
I don't have time to
Don't either.
organize it, so no.
Okay. And then Friday we're back here. So maybe Thursdays are just our day off. Maybe we need to start doing things on Saturdays. No.
I have actually two recurring meetings on Sunday.
What are they?
Huh?
What are they?
I can tell you the country where it comes from, and that's Israel. Sunday is a working day.
Sunday's a working day. Yep. Yeah. No. Okay. It's cool. But see, they aren't here today. Today's their day off. Today's their
Exactly.
first weekend day. So
Yeah, exactly.
okay. Let's call it a day. See if I can bring this in for a close. Thanks everybody for being here today, and we will talk to you again next week.
Cheers.